Yesterday's class we exceeded our time, but I feel like okay, we actually needed to do that just to get the general idea of what we are trying to do. So I'm about to share my screen. I think I should share a tab, and I should just share this. Share. All right. This 11 minutes past the hour of 8, so we're just going to start now. I actually don't want us to exceed our time, 9 o'clock, so I'm just going to be running as much as I can, and I'll just touch like the basic important things, in today's class. So today's class is actually a continuation of yesterday's class. So before now, we've been talking about user research, how to conduct user research, how to actually come up when you have a product that you want to work on, how to actually come about it, how to develop, you know, research around that product and actually come up with a design that is user centered and that will give the users good experience across while using the product. So yesterday we actually started the process of conducting um, our user research, and we already have a problem, which is to develop an app that allows anyone chat with a medical expert and get desired help, anywhere virtually in the world. So we agreed that we are going to be making use of the basic um, design thinking process, which is to empathize first, define, develop, and deliver. And in each of them, I try to point out like the key things that we are supposed to make sure that at this stage we actually have these things done. So yesterday we tried to do the empathize. We had like a brief discussion within the class. We collaborated. We conducted some interviews among ourselves. You know, and then we tried to, from what we've done, we tried to do a little bit of ideation, and then we're able to come up with our problem statements. Although we didn't mention the problem solution, but from our problem statements we can actually figure out problem um, solution or potential solution rather. So we try to create our user. Um, sorry, let me. Sorry. So we try to like develop our user personas and our empathy map. Sorry, hold on. My okay. Yeah. So we try to develop our user personas and our empathy maps, and I think we already had our interview questions that we came up with, as a result of our brainstorming yesterday. And we had some questions that we asked ourselves, and we got some answers. And from the answers we are given in class, we are trying to draw on our empathy map. But I remember giving an assignment on that, and we're trying to come up with our user persona here. So now, in this empathy map, I don't know how many of us actually tried out the assignment. How many of us drafted like series of questions and shared with our contacts so that they will give us feedback? Did anybody do that assignment in this class? Anybody?
I did.
Okay.
You said the assignment till next Friday.
No, I said like today.
I did.
Okay, Rita, you did.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. That's actually fine. So you know, we actually need to work on that assignment. It's actually very very important in any product you're trying to create. You must first of all do this. Like except like you've become so good, and being so good means that okay, you already have an idea. For instance, now in a finance you've worked on a finance app before. So the first work you did like some basic research. You did some Google research, Play Store research, competitive and computer analysis, and all of those. You did all those things. So now probably you now have another gig or another job, but it's still on a finance app. Now obviously you don't need to like go through the extra mile of doing all those research, but it's still always good that you still do your basic research. Maybe you can just learn or find out one new thing that will still make the product better. Doing research is always very very important. But like if you already have like background knowledge that you can actually get some data, or with some data you already have, then you start working, that's fine. But it's always good to still do um, your research. So it's always very important to at least know how to um, generate basic interview questions and send it out as questionnaires for people to answer, at least 5%, depending on the project you're doing. So how we are going to do this, to be able to move on in today's class is this. We're actually going to have this as an assignment. It's going to be our week 2 assignment, you understand, which is create your interview questions, send it out to your contact list, as many as you can send to, but at least 5 persons. Now get their response. Now from their response, use it to create your empathy map. Remember, empathy map is a 4 quadrant that contains what the user says, what the user does, how the user feels, and what the user thinks, where pains and gains is an extra, you know is an extra on your empathy map. So in that your assignment, ensure you have pains and gains. Now we already have a problem that we are working on. So this is the problem: developing an app that allows users, chat with medical experts. Now this is the problem. So from this problem now, and from what we've discussed in class, and from these samples that you have, this link, the link to this file is posted on the WhatsApp group, so everybody should have access to it, so you can see the kind of questions we drafted in class. Now use it and draft like at least, you can draft like 5 to 10 questions. It must not be complex. If you have like 5 to 10 questions, it's fine. Just use it and come up with some stuffs that okay, you can say okay, I did this interview, now this is what the user was saying based on their response. Remember that um when conducting your interview sections, we have, like, although it's under usability testing, we have like two major types. I've been saying these things in class, which is moderated usability testing and unmoderated usability testing. Now that is when you're done with the product and you're trying to test. But now we are not done with the product. We are trying to still come up with, we're trying to still come up with the basic data that we can use to form our design. So now we can equally say that we have like two types of interviews: moderated interviews and unmoderated interviews. So moderated interviews is like when you're having like a physical um interaction with the user, like you're asking that user okay personal questions. So you are seeing this user, you're reading their body language, and from there you're donating or getting extra information that you can use to build up your design. While unmoderated is like this method that we're using. So we have a form online that we've put all those questions, and we're sending out the links to like 5 persons or more for them to just fill. So we are not actually seeing them personally, but based on the response they've given to us, we can now know what to do. And we agreed in one of the classes that we had that one of the best ways to get the best response from our users or from the people answering our questionnaires is to always ask open-ended questions, and of course have a backup question. So for instance, um, do you like watching movies? Now the person might say yes, so we can ask a backup question: do you mind telling us why you like watching Nigerian movies, and stuffs like that. So always ask open-ended questions that will enable the user give you more answers, more than what you were expecting. So after doing that in your interview, use it and create your do, feel, think, and say use it and fill informations in your do, feel, think, and say quadrants. Please, you guys should know this assignment. Although after today's class, I'll type it out and post it on the group. Then pains and gains. I think I should just put the text here. Pains. Okay, Olivia, I think I can see your cursor. Just help me put in text into this quadrant so we all know that, okay, do it the way we did this first one. So we all know that okay, this is how we should arrange it. Although you can equally remember I said yesterday that you can arrange your empathy map, anyhow you want to use it. But I usually like keeping this thing simple because it allows us brainstorm, so we don't need to put a lot of designs on them. So I'll leave this. I think I've um, explained that. So so what I'm going to do is, let me just finish up with this our user persona. So we've been able to come up with our problem statement yesterday. So we stated that it's when trying to do your research that it's always very good to have your problem statement boldly written out where you can always see it. Now the reason for that is for you to always be able, because all these things we are doing is to allow us brainstorm, is to allow us research. So the essence of this is for you to be able to come back, like as I'm working, probably as I'm creating, getting informations about this particular user called Olivia, who is an architect. I'm seeing my problem statement boldly written out, so I actually know what I'm trying to work on, which is to be able to provide a specific health need to different users because they are busy, and stuff like that. That is my main problem statement. So I'm seeing that. So anything I'm thinking, should always guide that. So let's try to quickly create our potential solution to ouch, Control Z. I'll hold down my Alt key, I'll click and drag to duplicate this. So to duplicate, just hold down your Alt key, you see your arrow split into two, then click and drag, it will duplicate. Or you can just select everything and press Ctrl D for duplicate on your keyboard, Ctrl D or Command D on your Mac. So Ctrl D to duplicate, and it will duplicate, then you can drag. So that's how I did that. So we can call this potential solution. Let's just call it potential. Now guys, this is how I do my own thing. This is how I do my own. So I just want you guys to understand the concepts. Now you can actually decide how you want your own to be done, but just understand that this is the basic concept. Just use it to form a structure, then anyhow you want to do your own, you understand, you can do your own. Of course, from now onwards, when you're on your online platforms and probably you're seeing what other designers are doing, you'll be seeing similar things like this, so you will now understand how they actually came about it. Solutions, potential solutions. So probably okay, can anybody tell us what we can use as our potential solution? It's just a statement, it's just a statement that will serve as a solution to this particular problem. Now it might not be exactly elaborate, but it should be very specific for us to know that, okay, this is actually what we are working on. Can anybody just give us like any suggestion? Now remember that this is your personal thinking. Probably all these things within on system, you can prefer to do it on paper and pen, you understand, or you can just do it on your system. So you are just thinking, you understand, as you're thinking, you're putting these things down, you understand, just for clarity. That's what we are trying to do. Because at the end of the project, you're supposed to do like a case study. A case study is like documenting every single thing you've done, and all of those. So but we agreed before we started doing this that we are going to be doing them, one at the other, and we are going to be doing everything, so that by the time we are done with the project, we don't need to come and start creating special time to come and start writing our case study. You understand, we've already written it as we are working on the project, which is like the easiest way. So can anybody tell me like what they think could serve as our problem statement? Nobody. Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you guys actually hear me? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Ouch. Is it that nobody can hear me or ah? Wow.
Yes, we are thinking. We
Yes,
can hear
we can hear you.
we can hear you.
We can hear
We
you.
hear you very well.
Hello, can anyone hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I stopped hearing what you were saying. So I was saying, can anybody give us like a potential solution to this? Like these are our problem statement. Our problem statement says that user Olivia, because we're using Olivia. Remember that we said that user personas are like semi-fictional users in our head. So we said user Olivia needs a health assistant app that will provide a specific health need because they are busy and they struggle with web platforms to book an appointment. So we were able to state that okay, users actually need this health assistant app. Now, the two major reasons why they need this assistant app is because these users are busy, to go to the hospitals, just to stand in queue to book an appointment. Now, on the web platforms, which is possible that they are existing already, you know, they usually struggle with it because probably it might not be responsive or something. Oh, Chineke God. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So so now we want to get like a potential solution. So nobody has any idea as regards to that. Okay, somebody dropped something on the group, on the WhatsApp rather. Let me see. Potential. They need an app that will help them book an appointment anytime, anywhere with little or no stress. Yes, I like that suggestion. Like, it makes so much sense. Now, basically, yeah, you're actually on the right track. Chairman, you're actually on the right track. That's basically what they need. So we already stated that. Like, I want you guys to understand this thing. Like, it's actually as simple as it is. It shouldn't look complicated. It's just like basic thing. It's just like I want you to see like it's you that is doing this thing. So you are thinking like this is your whiteboard space. You're thinking on it. You understand? So the way you will see this problem, the way you approach it is the same thing. You get? I'm just trying to lay the foundation to show us that okay, guys, this is actually the method. This is the step by step method they use in doing this thing. There is no big deal about it. So Rita said like, okay, users will actually need um, an app that will help them book an appointment anywhere, anytime with little or no stress. You understand? So she actually stated that the, one of the things we are providing with the providing to the users is that we are trying to make this process of booking an appointment with any medical expert, stress free. You understand? Which works. So I can actually say that okay, we are building a health assistant app, since that's what we are using in the problem statement, that will actually deliver solutions to patients, in this case scenario to the users, you know that will deliver solutions to patients, because the health practitioner is supposed to like give answers to what the patient actually needs. So if, like yesterday, that Taiwo told us that he would like to be seeing a doctor every 3 months, to check his eye. So the doctor is supposed to be able to tell Taiwo if there's any issue with his eye, or if you know things that he should abstain from and stuffs like that. So I will structure this problem statement as so um, problem statement: build a health assistant app that delivers solution, which is the same thing, that right is a yeah, that delivers solution to patients problems, and eliminate the time it takes eliminate the time it takes to probably find an expert and book appointments. Yep. And book appointments. And I think this serves as our problem statement. So we are building a health assistant app that delivers solutions to patients, and eliminate the time it takes to find an expert and book appointments. And if you check what Shemela said, I think it's still in line with what she said. She said something like, we are building an app that will help book appointments anytime, anywhere, with less or no stress, with little or no stress. So it's still in line. So I can still decide to say that my potential solution, let me just take this, what Shemela said. So because we are like different designers, we can actually structure it in different ways. So here we can say build 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 a health assistance app that will help you address them as users, rather, that will help users book an appointment anytime, anywhere, with little or no stress. So the two of them can still work. You understand? Because why it can work is because what the app is supposed to be doing is actually pointed out, and that's just it. You understand? The potential solution is, we just want to know, like, what is this app going to be doing? And here it's stated book appointments. Here it's equally stated book appointments. You understand? So we already know. We just basically connect users and patients to medical experts, and that is okay. So we have our potential solution written out, and I'll just keep it somewhere around there. So let's come back to our user persona and just finish it up. Probably let me add one more needs and one more frustrations there, right? One more needs. Okay, based on what we've done so far, can any other person suggest like something we can put under the needs and goals of the users and frustrations? We already agreed that in your user persona you should capture needs and goals of the users, frustrations of the users. You should capture like motivation, what motivates the user, the behaviors and attitude of the user, because these are the things you found out probably while asking your questions. So, and in short, these are the kind of things, if you know that, okay, these are the things you're going to capture, it's going to influence how you structure your questions when you're trying to come up with your questions. So you're asking questions that will enable you know the needs and goals of the users, the behavior and attitude of the users, you know, their motivations, what actually motivates them. Now their frustrations in terms of have they used this kind of application before? What was their experience like using this application? You know, and have they had like any contact with a medical expert? What was their experience? So you're getting to know that's the kind of questions you're going to be asking, and you're getting to just feeling, you know, those stuffs. So can anyone just suggest like like I'm just filling this thing up like this so that we can actually have something we are working with. You understand? Because I believe I've been able to explain like, you know, how to come about these data. So I just need like to have informations that we can work with so we can actually progress. But we are going to like do a more detailed work on it when we are doing our assignments. So I need to like structure these things so we actually have a template that we can actually go back to anytime we want to, anytime we are working on our assignments.
Can
So
I can I suggest something?
yeah, go ahead please.
So our frustrations. We spoke about you know we spoke about experience and specialization yesterday.
Yes.
So it's very common for you know people to have a a medical ailment or thereabouts or a sickness or whatever, and it becomes hard for them to find a what's it called a medical practitioner that is well versed or is specialized in that field. So I would say that another one of the another one of the users frustration is finding a medical practitioner that specializes in whatever ailment they can be having.
Okay. So we'll add that. So one of the frustrations we've pointed out here is having difficult time to find a specialized expert, right?
Yes.
So we have that under that. Okay, does any other person want to recommend or suggest something that we can add to this? So I'm writing them out. We have motivations, behaviors, and attitudes. So it doesn't need to be much, even if we have like one thing under each of them. I think that's okay. We can just use it to proceed. But I just want you guys to see how everything is laid out. So under the behaviors and, you know, attitude, I can maybe when I was conducting the research, I noticed that okay, this person is actually a confident person. Like the way they talk is actually a kind of confident person. So under the behavior, I can say okay, he's a confident user. Maybe talks with confidence. You understand? And remember that when we are working on this, when creating our user personas, it's not like only one user persona. You can have like two or three user persona. You understand? Because definitely you're going to like talk to like different persons. So you can always create as many user personas you want as possible. You understand? But it's always advisable you have like two, you know, different user personas. So you're just using it, you know, it's just semi-fictional, you know, character of the actual user. So we're just using it to picture. You understand? So we have something that we are looking at to be painting these pictures in our head. You know, that's how it works. So probably under the behavior, I could have something like okay, this user actually feels bad boarding people when they can't provide solutions or whatever. Yeah, solutions. Yeah. So with this, I already know that okay, there are actually some users that okay, probably when they send you a message and then they tell you their problem and you seem not to be, you know, giving them solutions. Now they will not come back to you to ask you, you know, further information or something. You know, they just say that okay, you can't help me, and then that's it. So they go on to look for another expert. So with this kind of information, I know that okay, people like that actually exist. No, sorry, this should be under the behavior. Then I can equally write talks or speaks with confidence, or talks with confidence. You know. So motivations, now we can have that. Okay, probably I can have something like he's inspired by football match, or just something like that. So that's his motivation. Some of these things you can just ask the users. You can just have questions that you will ask that will give you information about this kind of thing. So you can ask, like, in each of these categories we have, you can just have like 3 questions that you ask the users that will give you information under the needs and goals, under the frustrations of the user, under the motivation, behavior, and attitude. You can just ask like 3 questions that will give you information on that. Am I communicating, guys? So under motivation, I can equally say that
Yes.
User is motivated, or you can just use the name here. Olivia is motivated by using probably by using no, user is motivated by contacting
I think we are
experts.
losing you. You're breaking up.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear
Your
me?
audio is getting crappy. You're breaking up and we can barely hear you.
Okay, can everyone hear me now? Like, I'm actually speaking now. Can everyone hear me? Hello? Hello, can everyone hear me? Ouch, God, what do you think it is? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, guys, just hold on. Let me switch my network so it doesn't keep doing this. How about now? Can you guys still hear me now? How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Hello, can you hear me? Please, if you can hear me, just give me a feedback. Like,
I can hear you. I can
We
hear you.
can
okay, Arinze, how about now? Can you hear me now? Arinze.
Yeah, can you?
Yes, I can
I
hear
can
you.
hear perfectly.
Okay, that's fine. So let's proceed. So okay, I just saw the message you sent to me on WhatsApp, Arinze, but I can't remember where I wrote that. But okay, guys, guys that are with me on the file, please, anywhere I have like a typo error, just help me and correct it, please, because I can type in too fast and I won't just know. So I wanted to say Olivia is motivated by contacting experts through ratings and all, like through ratings on the app or Google. Yeah, let's use Google. Through ratings on the app on Google. So meaning that this particular user before he connects with a particular expert on the app, they will have to go the extra mile to make a Google search to know the background of this particular expert, you know. So it might actually inspire us to like have a brief info about every expert, you know. Probably we can tell them to link their account, you know, to their professional page, probably to their website or LinkedIn account, anything professional, you know, that shows that okay, you're actually an expert in this area, and you have your credentials and everything uploaded to that platform. We can have like a link, you know, button, you know, that will take us to. You can have like a link button that will take us to. Sorry, hold on. That will take us to that their professional page from. That will take us to that their page from our app, or that can just grab like informations from their professional page and then put it on what we have on our app. So that is what that kind of information can do for us. So basically we have like data under motivations, behavior, frustrations, needs and goals of the user. So I think one thing that is not okay, you can actually go, you know, as far as to like, you know, probably you list out probably brands that this user use the most. So I can just come here and you know, I can say something like okay, this user uses probably brands like Instagram, YouTube. You know, you're just trying to get to know the users more. So I can say this is YouTube, you know, I can say this is Instagram, right? You know, Instagram.
See the screen. What's happening? I can't see the screen.
Wow, someone can see the screen. Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah, so I can't see your screen.
Wow, sorry, let me sorry, let me share my screen please. I just did that. Thanks for the feedback, Rita, please. Okay. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, you can see.
So I can just decide to change this to like some of these colors, probably make this more red, and you know, maybe I should just reduce the color so that will be contrast. So you can just decide to do whatever thing you want to do there. So like these are the brands that, you know, the user is associated with. So somewhere, Control Z, sorry, I can bring this down and then probably duplicate this guy and say brands. Remember, in our interview question, we asked the user if they always use the internet. You know, so you can have a backup question like, okay, when using the internet, which platforms do you always using? Do you use the internet with? You know, so probably the users can tell us something like Instagram, YouTube. You know, as many as they can tell you. You might just note it down here to say that okay, the user actually said this. You know, so after that, I think basically, yeah, that's what um, what we have in the user persona. So there's one more thing we usually have in the user persona, which is like a little bit story about the user. You know, we talked about that. We said it helps us know who this user is. So your story can go something like Olivia is an architect in so institutions, and she stays at home weekends, and probably you know, she stays at home weekends, and just look for a story. It's actually very hard for me to formulate a story because I'm not actually conducting a real research. But you can find this thing out like from your interview questions. It's as simple as that. But let me just get something done. Let me just get something. So I'll have something that I'll write like this. Her name is Olivia. We're using Olivia. So Olivia, is an architect in in which institution should I use now? Just use a company, probably in Duke's Construction, Duke's Construction Ltd. She prefers to stay at home weekends and prioritize their health life so much. Yeah, so much. You know, comma. Her hobbies includes cooking, washing. Sorry. So guys, just help me and be correcting my typos, please. Cooking, washing, and probably volunteering. Yeah, volunteering can actually be someone's hobby. So so it can be as simple and as short as this, but we already know, like by the time you read this, the idea of like having a user story here is so that when we read it, it could be a paragraph or two, but let's be that once we read it, we already can say that okay, we know who Olivia is, we already can relate, even though that this Olivia is not like entirely like an actual existing user. We just got these information from different people and we are trying to paint a story. User persona is just all about trying to paint something that your mind can hold on to, which is which is now going to serve as something that will direct your thoughts, to the solutions you are providing through your design. Very, very important that we note this. So we just have like a statement that will tell us who Olivia actually is. So I'll bring this, like I will probably put this in a box. Then I'll take it down. Then I'll change this box to don't mind my design, sure. But don't mind like the time I'm spending to the design, like make it final. It's just something I'm a little bit used to. So ladies and gentlemen, like my user persona is already coming out, as you can see. Control Z. So my persona is already coming out. So from here we already have an idea the kind of user we are working with. Now one more thing is missing in this persona. Who can tell me what that is? Like there's one more information that is actually missing in our persona. Who can tell me? I think we talked about it when yeah, we talked about it when we were talking about user persona, and I think I emphasized on that, like why it's important to have it. Any suggestions? Like no suggestions, guys.
User journey.
User journey? No, it's not user journey. It's not user journey. User journey is probably when we've finished with the products and we now want to test it. You understand? So we're now trying to see the experience of the user while trying to use this our product. Maybe we can first of all put them in steps, like step 1, step 2. So when the user completed step 1, what was their experience? Were they happy? Were they sad? Did they have mixed feelings? Did they, is it that they didn't understand what they were asked to do? So you're from there, you're documenting their experiences. That's what user journey is. Okay, one more trial, please, before I say it or something. One more person should try.
Okay, 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 okay.
Okay, it's actually we need to create like a scenario, and it's in our deliverables here. We have uh, okay, I didn't put it here. Okay, maybe that was why it's hard. So we need to create like a user scenario. So just add it, scenario. So yeah, so a user scenario is just like something. It's just like a situation that the user have painted, and this scenario, this painted situation, they don't actually want to find themselves in that situation. You understand? So it's just like, okay, what is most likely going to happen, but I'm just saying it because I don't actually want it to happen. Like, okay, what is the worst thing that will happen as a user now? Why using this kind of product? What is the worst thing that can happen? You understand? So that is like a user scenario. So a user scenario can go like, okay, probably the user can tell you why they don't want this thing to happen, or why they don't actually like this kind of things happening as a result of probably previous bad experience they've had. Now, most times, most user personas do not always have this because they already have like motivations. Now, the user scenario might not just be on the negative side; it can actually be on the positive side as well. So, meaning that this user can just be like, okay, I just want to have an app where I can easily book appointments with my experts. That could just be the scenario because that's what the user feels. Now it can also be on the negative side, but most times I always like it to be on the negative side. Why doing my job? Because I use it to tell myself that, okay, this is like, considering this kind of users, like this is like the worst thing they will experience while using this product. So I just form something like that. So a user scenario in this particular thing that we are doing could be like, okay, probably architect Olivia values her time so much, and we not want to submit a question, and the expert does not answer. You understand? So that could just be the user scenario. You understand? So let me just put that here. So now this is like the worst thing that could happen. Now we can also have like another scenario. So it depends like how you want it. I just want I just want to want. So this could be another scenario. So depending on different designers with different perspective. Now this is just something that will just help guide our thoughts. There is no special way of writing it. It's just for you to know that, okay, it's actually there, and you can just make use of it. So I think with this we have our user persona, you know, all lined out, you know. I think I can actually work with this just like this now. Okay, I should leave that there. Still I'm on. So we already have like our persona, you know, created, and you know it looks somehow like this. So this is how you can create your own. Just basically have know that okay, in your persona you're supposed to like document the motivations, needs and goals, frustrations, behavior, attitude. Brands can come in, it's not a must, you know, but it's always very good that you have your problem statement stated out and your potential solution, and I've explained what problem and potential solutions are. Now it's always also very good that while creating your user persona you have the demographics of the user you're trying to imagine documented. Now the thing is, because it's a semi-fictional character in our head, we might not actually be able to ask the users, okay, where is your house, where do you stay, all these things. We can just assign, you know, values to them, assign data to this. So we can assume that the user is within 25 to 30 years, or you know, within so age bracket, and the user does this, and then from our research we can now fill in all the other informations, and boom, we are done with our user persona. Now we now have like, you know, informations that we can start working with. We have like, okay, things that we can start, you know, doing or thinking on. Now you can have as many user personas, as many empathy maps as possible. You understand? It just depends on you and your research, you know, um, and how elaborate you want your job to be, you know, especially while creating your case study. Am I communicating, guys?
Yes.
All right. So remember the assignment. The assignment is for us to conduct our own interviews, at least share to like 5%. Then from there, please fill in the empathy maps. You know. So thank you for the person that added this stuff. So fill in your own empathy map. I don't actually want to do that, but we were able to pick like one or two stuffs from the interview we did yesterday. So just put in the informations based on what they said, what they do, what they feel, what they think. Now, pains and gains is like an extra, so always make it an habit of adding extra pains and gains. So it will actually help you build your user persona very well. So having done this now, so let's assume our empathy map is done and our user persona is done. Now, what is the next thing? Now, when we are already at this stage, based on what we've done so far, we now have an idea, the solution we are trying to build, you know. And funny enough, from what we've noted in some of these things written out here, we now have an idea that okay, this kind of feature, it's would be a very good one on this app. Okay, we will need this kind of feature. Now, based on the response that we got from these different users, we are thinking of doing this feature, but I think that's not actually what they need now. They need more of this. Just like yesterday that we had the question, in what method would you prefer to receive an expert advice? Some of us said video call, some of us said email marketing, some of us said instant, you know, message, and all of those. So nobody said voice call. Or voice call is still video call back. So, but that was like different options. So we can now say, oh, we're actually thinking that instant messaging will work, but majority of the users, you know, actually want to, like, I think it was Precious that said, oh, that she would want to actually be seeing the expert that she's talking with, so she would prefer a video call. So maybe majority of the users are saying that they will actually want a video call, you know, and all of those. So we now know that okay, while developing our products, you know, we might just put all these options and then the users get to choose what they want based on, you know, the data we've gotten. So having when you're done creating these stuffs now, you know, the next thing you will now want to now start doing is coming up with your sketches, which is like your wireframes, right? And then after your wire, okay, I think flowcharts, coming up with your flowcharts, you know, And then after your flowchart, you now do your wireframes. After your wireframes, you now do the high fidelity work, and boom, you have a product. You know, so but it's not actually that easy, sha. So, but I think the next thing now is to do the flowchart. So the flowchart is like a step by step, process of how our product is going to function. So now this is where we start doing the thinking. Then we'll now start wondering. We'll now start doing stuff like, okay, because we already have, you know, some user research done, so we already know what we are thinking of. We can start asking ourselves, okay, based on this research that we've done now, um, what kind of data should we collect when users are trying to log in? Remember that we already agreed that we're working for two persons now. We're working for the users and we're working for the experts. So that means we're going to like have like two login or two sign up options, which is, are you an expert or are you a patient? Do you understand? Because based on that, that will determine different informations that we are going to, request while trying to log in. Now it's still in this stage that we are going to determine, you know, um, the kind of informations we want to collect from the users. Now, do we want them to like, while trying to log in, we get all the informations, or do we just need like their username and password to just log them in? Then probably when they are now trying to book an appointment with an expert, we can now ask them some other basic informations, because it can actually be very boring, to you trying to enter an app and you have like a lot of options to fill. Now we can start putting all those things into considerations. This is that stage where we do that thinking. So to proceed in today's class, I've already talked about flowcharts before, but I said we are going to be more elaborate, when we are going to discuss it. So I'm going to share a document that I've prepared that will help us understand how flowchart works and what the symbols in flowchart means. You understand? I think that's just like the basic thing I want us to get like from today's class. Those symbols, what they mean, and probably I'll give like one or two examples to back it up, and then we can now create a flowchart for our own job, and then we can agree that we've achieved something today. So I will share my screen shortly, and if you guys can see it, you can let me know.
Yeah, sure, we can.
Okay, so you guys can see my screen now. You can see flowchart on my screen, right?
Yeah.
All right. So flowchart is like a technique that we use in organizing informations, in this case scenario, processes. So it's basically how we structure each process and determine which one comes first, and if this one is not coming first, then where should we take the user back to. So let's run with this, and then we'll know how far we're going to go. So a flowchart is like a picture of separate steps of a process in a sequential order. It's a generic tool that can be adapted for a wide variety of purposes and can be used to describe various processes such as manufacturing process, administrative process, service process, or project plan. So basically it's just trying to tell us that it's not just only for design that we use flowchart. So different areas, different sectors typically use flowchart just to document that, okay, this step from this step. I don't know, most of us have been to offices where I think it's one of the things I don't actually like with some of these big offices. They will tell you that, okay, everything protocol is done here, just to get a document signed, you take it to the admin person. Admin, maybe in the admin they have controller, deputy controller, head of admin. Deputy controller will sign, now tell you to take it to head of admin. After, when head of admin finish signing, they will now take it to deputy director's office. Now deputy director's office will now stamp, and then you now take it to zonal director. So those are just like the step by step guide or the step-by-step process you must follow to just get that document you're looking for. So flowchart is like just that step-by-step process we follow in building an app. So we already know that, okay, in this thing now, the first thing for this, in this kind of product we are going to build, the first thing now is that users are going to, log in or register on our platform. Now when they register, where do we take them? Do we take them to probably a profile page where they fill in their profile, or should we just take them to the home page? Now this is the process, this is the step where we determine all those things. And as you're trying to determine them, it's always very good, like you ask yourself, okay, if I'm not taking this user now to the profile page and I want to take them to the home page, why is it that I'm taking this user to the home page? You understand? Maybe your mind will tell you something like, okay, the profile, the documents we need from the profile is not that important, so let's just take them, let them have a feel of the product or of the app. You understand? Let it be that, okay, they're able to see how they can actually assess a medical expert before we start bugging them to give us extra information, because obviously we are going to need those extra information because we're talking about medical and health stuff here. So we need to know probably like the broad loop of the user, those kind of informations. And we already know that most users might not want us to bug them with that information when they've not seen the abilities of this app. So it's in this stage that we can start doing that kind of brainstorm. Maybe somebody else, maybe if you're working with another designer can say like, okay, these informations are actually very important, so it's better we collect it once and for all on their onboarding stage before we bring them into the app. Because once you get them into the app and they might now have hard time to assess, or they might have hard time to go back to profile to start filling this thing, then another designer might be like, okay, let it be that we give them access to this mobile app, but before they can book any appointment, they must fill that thing as a bypass to book. So these are different ideas that can just come up when you're trying to create your flowchart. So that's just it. So let's proceed. So elements that may be included in flowcharts are like sequence of actions, materials or service, entering or leaving the process, inputs and outputs, decisions that must be made, people will become involved, time involved at each step, or process measurements. Now don't worry, don't be so scared about like all these things. Like I'm having a feeling that somebody's asking, oh, like, are you serious? Is this all we are going to do? Like, why trying to create the flowchart? Yeah, it's not. The truth is that you're actually going to do them, but you also have the freedom to decide on which particular thing to focus on. You understand? So I'm just going to show you guys the easiest way to just focus on the main thing and then leave, these other extravagant ones. So when to use a flowchart? Now it's always advisable to use a flowchart when you want to develop an understanding of how a process is done, and I think that's what I've been hammering on. To study a process for improvement, when you're trying to, especially when you're trying to do like an app revamp, you want to revamp an app, so you're going through the step-by-step process, you're studying it. So it's always advisable to do a flowchart to know that, okay, this step is not actually very necessary. So there was this document, or there's this link I dropped on the WhatsApp group, laws of UX. I said I was going to use it to give us a task. It's actually very, very important, because most of the things I'm saying in my head, I'm saying it in respect to that laws of UX. So guys, please just go back, click on that link, read it. They're actually up to 21 laws of UX, but I think they're like majorly 7, that you will always see on every platform. So read it, and I think you understand the reason why some of these processes, and you understand the reason why a process should come instead of another, better off. Because I think what I'm saying now, I'm just saying based on that influence. So try to read it up, guys. So to communicate to others how a process is done, when better communication is needed, you will need a flowchart. So especially when you're working on a team project, to document a process, I think I've said that. Then when planning a project, now flowchart basic procedure. First of all, when you're trying to create your flowchart, always define the process. Like defining the process is like you now randomly thinking, okay, these products that we're working on, let's talk about registration page. Now we want the users to register. What are the possible measures to get users to register? Is it by should we link it to their Google accounts because we don't want to start asking them name and all those things, or should we actually ask them for name, username, password, and then just verify them? Should we use OTP to verify, or should we use email to verify? You're trying to define the process, and by the time you finish doing this, you now actually come to a conclusion that okay, let's just use this method because I think this method is better on this kind of product. Now you can now discuss and decide on the boundaries of your process. Where or when does this process start? When or where does it end? Then discuss and decide on the level of details to be included in the diagram. Now, in my own, if you ask me, I will always say like it shouldn't be detailed. Just make it super simple. Make it super simple in such a way that anybody that is looking at your flowchart will actually understand, especially the people that you're working with on the project. You understand? Or you that is actually creating it. Just make it super simple. You don't need to like put okay, registration, name, this one. You can just put registration, and we understand that okay, this stage, this particular area, or this particular box represents everything that is going to happen in the registration area. Probably in your wireframing, you can now be more detailed to show contents, or to use boxes to represent okay, this is the number of contents we are going to have on this page. Brainstorm the activities that will take place. They are very, very important. So I think I've been saying that all around. So you need to brainstorm that okay, on this particular page we are going to do this, we are going to have this. You understand? This is the process, this is the information we are going to need, and if the user does not have this information, this is where we should take the user back to. So you just need to brainstorm on all those things. You need to think, and as you're thinking, of course, Google is like your best friend, so you probably need to like be researching to see. Probably if you're creating a login page, it's always advisable to research on best practices. Always research on best practices. I usually do that. Like if I want to create something as simple as just a login page, I can always go online and research on best practices for creating login pages. I'll just check like one or two websites or one or two articles, read up, and I'll come back to my Figma and just start doing something. It always helps. Arrange activities in proper sequence. So when all sequences are included and everybody agrees that sequence is correct, now you can now draw arrows to show that okay, from this it goes to this. Now review the flowchart with others involved in the process. Workers, supervisors, suppliers, and that's all. Now these are like some of the few considerations you should put into check when trying to create your flowchart. Now one is you don't need to worry about drawing the flowchart the right way. In as much as there are like particular shapes that mean so in your flowchart, it must not be 100%. You don't need to be stressing yourself on getting it 100%. So far you're able to just show that okay. I think some designers don't actually care about those shapes that mean what. They just use like one particular shape and then probably change the colors, use different colors to represent that this means this means this. It's just trying to be simple, but it's also good to have an idea or to originally know that oh wow, in actual sense, like if you're bringing it like to the professional word standard, trapezium means something, square means something, circle means something, and what they mean. But let's just say because you're working on it and you're trying to save yourself some time and stress, you can just use like one shape to represent everything. But we are going to look at how to do that shortly. Identify and involve in flowcharting process. Identify and involve in the flowcharting process all key people involved with the process. This includes suppliers, customers, and supervisors. I think I said something about this yesterday, that most times when you're trying to do your research, you now find out that okay, there are some questions you will have and you will not be able to provide answers to that. So that will now let you know that oh, you need so person, or you need to reach out to so person. So always identify when trying to create your flowchart. It's always very good to put into considerations. Like for instance, now if I'm going to be creating a flowchart on how to order a product successfully, now let's just say the user have ordered, you understand, and they've added to cart and probably they've paid. That means from that payment now, we at the back end, we are supposed to reach out to probably the vendor that is supposed to supply that thing. Now I'm supposed to know, is that vendor going to be available? On what terms are we going to be working with this vendor? just stuff like that. You're supposed to have like basic information how these things are going to work in the background. That's why like in programming or in web development we have like the front end guys and the back end guys. So the front end guys design what we see, the back end guys design what we don't see. You understand? So you as a product designer, you're actually supposed to have an idea how the front end works and how the back end works, because it's actually going to determine if your product is going to be successful or not. You understand? So people who actually perform process should do it. So the people who are actually going to be involved in this thing, they should actually do it like for you to see, or for you to know that okay, for instance, if you tell me that you're going to be delivering a product from Lagos to probably Ibadan, you need to equally tell me how you are going to do it. Do you have an organization? Do you have access to a card that will be sending, or you're making use of commercial or public? Now if you're making use of it, like what's the time frame? Are you going to tell the user like from so time to so time? You understand? So let's know if you are documenting the time, if you are showing the users that this is the time. Are we making use of a tracking system? How will this work? So you just keep on popping questions. You keep on popping questions that you know will help you determine the process, the step-by-step process, and make it more clearer to you. So now let's look at the common shapes that are used in flowcharts. So the first one is this rectangle, which is like the most popular one used. So rectangle means that okay, this is like a one-step process. So and the step is actually written inside the box. Usually one arrow goes out of this box. Now the arrows is used to show the direction of flow. You understand? It can always move forward, or the arrow can show that okay, it's not moving forward, it's coming back to the previous thing. So that is how some of these, when you're using a mobile phone, you click on something and you know it doesn't work, it takes you back to a particular page, probably a page you've seen before. It's because that was how it was designed in the flowchart. So it was designed that okay, if you click on, if I ask you if you have so requirements and you tell me no, the next thing is to click on the back button. So this back button will take you back to the next page. So you can show some of those in your flowchart. So the parallelogram is like a decision based shape. So it always comes with a yes or no answer, right? So and the question is always written in diamond. More than one arrow goes out of the diamond, each one showing direction, the process it takes for the given answer, and then often answers blah 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 blah. So but the parallelogram, I just want you guys to know that the parallelogram will always have like two arrows coming out of it, and those two arrows will always answer the yes or no answer, where the question will be inside the parallelogram. So for instance now, was registration successful? Yes. If yes, take the person to the home page. If no, take the person back to the registration page. That is, whenever you have like okay, this next action now, there has to be like a two-step process. Something, it has to answer a question of yes or no. Just know that the shape you are going to use to represent that is a parallelogram. That's just what I want us to understand. Now this means delay or wait. So sometimes when you're trying to, probably for instance now you're trying to send money to someone and it's going to take time. You understand? Sometimes it's actually designed in the back end to take like 5 seconds to make some basic verifications. To make verifications like okay, if you have that amount, that you're trying to send in your account. So you can use this to show that okay, at this particular stage there will be a delay. Sometimes you can put like 5 seconds, although usually it's not always accurate because of other factors like network and stuff like that. So why this is still a parallelogram, but it's slanted, right? So the slanted parallelogram is used for input or output. So when you're trying to impute like okay data, like to say okay, before they proceed they need to impute like probably they need to put their credit card, or we need to show them a successful message, just anything that has to do with inputting or outputting. You can either use this slanted parallelogram to represent it. So this looks like a document file, although it's not always used. You understand? But if maybe it depends on the app you're working on, but if the app you're working on requires or demands that the user must upload like a passport or something for them to proceed to the next stage. That means you need to use this kind of icon to present it. Why the oval shape or the round edged rectangle shape represents the start or end point. So usually your flowchart will always have a starting point and it will always have a ending point. So we use the oval shape. Most time I always use the oval shape, sha. So I always use the oval shape to represent that okay, this is where this process is going to start and this is where this process is going to end. Based on what we've talked about so far, does anybody have any questions on flowchart? Any questions, please?
I don't have any question.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
a.
Please ask. Please ask.
So all right, with the flow chart, while you're developing, like will you represent it in this way to the backend guys, or I mean, I really grab it. Will
Yeah.
this be on your front end?
Yeah. It's both
Oh,
the front end, like both. Okay, majorly, the back end guys work with it actually. You understand? But how it works is why, like for instance, now if I develop a product, okay, how this thing works is like instance now, if there's a product that we need to work on, usually you're going to have the designer there and we're going to have the programmers on the team, right? And now in the programming in the program with the programmers now we're going to have the front end guys and we're going to have the back end guys. So usually we all have the same brief that we're working on. So that same brief I'm using to like create this thing now, the back end guy is equally using it to create his own. So normally when the back end guy looks at the brief, he has his own personal responsibility to start developing his flowchart, how this thing is going to work. Now, me as the designer, I have my own personal responsibility to develop my flowchart, how my product is going to work. Because if I develop it, I'll use it and develop my high fidelity work. I'm designing the process. Now, that process I am designing is what the front end guy is actually going to code. Now, that thing that the front end guy is going to code is what is going to supply to the back end guy. So the back end guy is going to look at what the front end guy has coded. From there, he's going to understand my own process. And then he's now going to supply APIs to the front end guy to make sure that everything is clickable and it's working as it's supposed to work. So basically, that's how this thing works. So I think like for the front and back end programmers, they have their own way of creating their own flowchart, but it's the same process that we are using. Like it's this same flowchart that we are creating, like the same thing. But I think they have their own special application that they use. They don't use Figma like we do. You understand? But if you look at their symbols, it's like the same thing we are doing. So you can it's that's why like for instance now if you're working with like some of these big companies and it's a remote job, that means you need to like do this standard, like maintain the standard because you don't know who the developers are and anytime they might want to just check your flowchart to know okay probably this should be this or this shouldn't be this. You understand? But if you're doing like your personal project or a project that is just within, you can go freestyle. But when you're doing it like for a startup that have like number of persons who are working on a particular thing, just follow the standard because anybody can just want to look at your flowchart to actually understand the system, of this product. Am I communicating?
yes, I get you.
Yeah. So most times, like I think, I've been opportune to work on a project where I had to work with both back end and front end guys. So the back end guy I worked with, like went ahead to develop his own flowchart, like based on his own understanding. Because the same process we follow to create these designs, those programmer guys have their own way to follow that same process to come up with their own stuff. Just the little thing that we're feeding them with the design. So they are not stressing, they are stressing on generating codes that we how to create codes that we translate our designs to machine language. You understand why we focus on trying to make the experience and everything beautiful, so they are not stressing themselves, so they just look at our design and copy exactly or code exactly what we've designed. So but I noticed that he actually had his own flowchart and his own flowchart was similar to what I did because I know there was a brainstorming section we had where we were trying to determine the processes, and as I was looking at my system, it was equally looking at his own system, so everything was tallying. So I think they have their own way of doing it, but it's still the same thing. So, but in most cases, where probably it depends on how the project is. You understand? On how big it is. You understand? In some cases, probably you guys might now have to come together and look at each and everyone's screen, then brainstorm together and say, okay, let's make this like this, let's make this like this. Because most times you can be thinking of an idea, and the truth is that idea you're thinking about is not implementable. You understand? I've had case scenarios like there was a time I was actually crazy about this Tom Zone thing. Like I think that was when I learned about Tom Zone, recently. So I was trying out a lot of things. So I was trying to create like a new way of trying to log into an application instead of like using the normal putting your password and then you click on login. So I was actually trying to create like a pattern where people can actually use like dots and special IDs to log in. You understand? And we're actually working on a product, so I was trying to bring it into the product. Now I try to put things I know into place, and then I actually created something that I was like, okay, wow, this thing can actually work. Then I brought it to the backend guy. The guy looked at me, he said that it can't be implemented. The reason for that is because we don't know the users who will be using this product, and there's no special like way of denoting that, okay, this is because we are going to be working with like data. So any user that registers on this product now, we have like his own database created for him. So, and the only way we can associate a database to a particular user is by probably they give us a name and a unique email address. So two users cannot have the same name and the same email address. You understand? So, but based on what I created, I just created like, okay, numbers. Users can just put like a favorite number like 4 and then probably a dot. So it simply means that if you choose 4 and I choose the same pattern, it means that the database at the back end will be clashing. So I think he was telling me something like that. So, and finally I just give up that, okay, this thing is not implementable. So there are cases like that where you might want to do something and the truth is it's not implementable by code because of how those things work. You get me, right?
Yes.
All right. So
Thank you.
so any other question before we just do this last thing and then close for the day? Okay, let's just run. So guys, I know our time is up, but just give me like 10 minutes. I need to show us like how to create this flowchart, because if I leave it like till next class, it might just all fizzle away. So let's just quickly do that. So I'm going to be creating a basic flowchart, like just basic, because I don't want to use the app we're already working on because it can become complex. So I also want to create something very basic that we can identify with. So I'm getting a flowchart that will allow us, make a purchase from an e-commerce website. So we all probably are into online buying, so you buy things online. So let's assume that there is an e-commerce website and we just want to create a flowchart that will just, show us the process, of how to add to cart and then probably check out. So I'll come in to my Figma, share this tab instead. So I'll be using this place. So let me just come down to a neat space. Now, if you remember in our document, we said that we are going to be using oval to start or end an operation. So I'll just use my oval here. It's just a circle. I'll just draw it like this. So I can actually let me just use blue or this purple. Then I will say start. So start means that the user has logged in, because we're trying to create a flowchart for a particular action, right? So I'm not interested in login, registration, blah blah blah. So I'll just say start. So let's just start because we have a particular thing. Now when the user starts, okay, remember that the question is creating a flowchart on how a user can successfully buy a product, you understand, from an e-commerce website. Now, based on that, now, what do you think when the user have started? Let's just say we've entered into this e-commerce website now. I want to now look for a product. What is the next thing that the user is going to do? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me, please? Let's make it interactive and quick.
Is the user signing in for the first time?
Yeah, like yes, the user is going to sign in, but because we have a particular area where we want to focus on, which is just buy a product and pay and then check out. We are not concerned with signing in and all those things. Now let's just say the user have done all those things. Now the user wants to now, want to document or create a flowchart on how this user can actually buy a product from this e-commerce website. You understand? Now the user have started. That
Okay.
means he's on
Okay.
the platform. Yeah. So what next?
I believe going through the products and adding them to his or her cart.
Exactly. So the next thing that the user is going to do now is to search, right? Search, right? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So search. Now I want to ask something now. Now this search now, which symbol should we use to denote this search? Should it just be because we said rectangle is like a one-step process. We said parallelogram is like a decision-based um, process. We use parallelogram to represent decision. So which this thing should we use here now? Which shape should we use here? Should we
Uh,
use a rectangle or we should use any other shape? Who can tell us?
I believe the parallelogram,
Okay, why do you suggest parallelogram?
because it's up to them to buy anything they want. If they're okay with the product, they add it to their cart, and that's a decision-making process.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So it's actually a parallelogram because now we are going to be the user is going to actually be faced with a yes or no, you know, decision, in the sense that you are actually going to decide if, for instance, if I'm searching for a particular kind of television now, and I come to this e-commerce website and the television is not there, what do I do? You understand? We're actually supposed to document that process. So if the user searches the television they are looking for and they find it, which means a yes, they should proceed. Now if they don't find it, which means a no, terminate or move back to the previous this thing. Am I communicating, guys? Are we getting the idea? Yeah, so that's
Yes.
that. Okay, this my parallelogram is looking like it has not eaten today. So let me just stretch it out like this thing. Yeah. So now, and you remember that in our document we said that parallelograms like this are always decision based. So they will always answer the question of yes or no. So now let's attach a question to this. So search. So I'll just move this, um, put this as yes, and then probably have. So when you click on this icon and then you hover around it, you're going to see this plus sign. So when you click on the plus sign, it can actually add a link to that shape. So now this would be search, and if I zoom in and double click on this arrow, it's actually going to put in a text, or you will see like this C plus. When you click on it, it will give you an option to add a text in between the arrow. So I can say here yes, and then probably just make it bold so we can see it, and then click on this arrow here and put this text here and say no and make it bold, right? So now if what the user is searching is not on our website, that means transaction should end, right? So I'm going to change this to an oval, right? And then I'll add a text here that will say end. So if what the user is searching for is not on this platform, please, when the user starts search and it's not there, which is a no, end. Now if what the user is searching for is here, that means the user can do what? Purchase. Am I communicating? The user can purchase. So we'll use a rectangle here because it's an because it's just a one decision stage. So now if sorry, hold on, just what I pressed now. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm just going to be moving. So this part that we have worked on, I'll remove it. So purchase. Now for the user to purchase, it simply means that the user have to do something, which is what? Can someone tell me what is that thing that the user have to do to purchase this product? No. The user have to add
Put in
it.
their credit card information.
Yeah, but they have to add it to cart before they will be able to do that shit, right? Right?
Okay.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so they have to add to cart. So remember that the idea of this is just to be able to document every single process as much as possible. Add to cart. So I'll use add to cart. Now the add to cart is going to be um okay, no, it's not going to be a decision based, right? Because they have to add to cart. Now, after adding to cart, now what should be like the next stage? I think that should be what would be decision based, which is to request for credit card, right? So let's request. I'll just use for this because it's too long. For credit card, right? So I'll just make this to just come down like that. So yeah, so we have something like this. Guys, follow me closely. So search, purchase, add to cart. Then from add to cart, the next thing is to request for, credit card. But why it's like this is at some point users can just add to cart and they will not do any other thing. So it can just be like that. You understand? So it's just like there. So now when we request for credit card, I think we'll now have like a decision here. Let me put it like this, and then we'll have. I'll change this to a decision based shape, which is the parallelogram here, or the diamond, anyone will call it. So now, which question are we going to ask here now? Who can tell me? Which question are we asking here? Or what is the process that will go on here now? We are requesting for credit card. Now we are
The
assuming
bank details.
no, we are requesting for credit card. Now is in this request for credit card stage that the user is going to put his bank details and everything. Now the moment the user puts his bank details, because we've requested for that, you understand, there's the next action that is going to take place, and that's like a background action. Am I communicating, guys? Now user have put their credit card.
Yes.
Now there is a next action that is going to take place, which is like a background action, and that background action is to confirm that the credit card you've put can actually buy the product.
Yes.
Do you understand? So we are going to run a background check to check
Yes.
if credit, let me just say if credit is good. If credit is good, let's just put it like that. Shay is interesting, guys. Shay is interesting.
Yes.
So we have something like this. So if credit is good now, so if credit is good, we'll have this to go as a yes, right? If credit is good, so I'll change this to rectangle. Reason is because it's like going to be a one-step decision. If credit is good, then proceed to billing, right? Billing.
Yes.
Oh, let me just say proceed to billing. Actually, you can decide to just put it. You can decide to put only billing. You can decide to put anything that enter, but just be like it's understandable. So I'll zoom in here. Click on this arrow so I can have these options. Then I click on the add text icon and then say yes. to show that okay, this is a positive response. So this is not complete because we said that it will always answer a yes or no. So we've put the yes, so let's put the no. So to put that no, I'll use my connector here. My connector, I'll click on it, come to any of this edge, and probably say if this credit is not good, I'll now come here and determine which place I will take them back to. Should I take them back to add to cart, or I should take them back to request for credit card? Do you guys understand?
Yes.
So you can decide that. Now maybe I might decide that okay, this if credit is good now should just be like a loading icon. So I can even in between, if this credit is good, I can put a delay icon there to show that okay, there's a loading will go on here to confirm that this credit card is good. Now if this credit card is good, I can decide to, if the credit card is not good, I can decide to bring you back to the request card, or I can decide to bring you back to add to cart, or I can even decide to bring you back to the purchase page. It's now my decision to do that as a designer, where I will take you back. And anywhere I decide I will take you back, that is the screen I am going to design for when I'm trying to develop these products. So I'll design that okay, if this thing turns negative, take them back to this screen. I'll just design that screen. Probably if the screen is error message, probably error, or to show you that sorry, you do not have sufficient balance, I will just design that screen and put it there, and then because that is what I've shown in my flowchart. So but let me just take them back to add to cart. No, add to cart would be a bad user experience. So let's just put it here, because we're going to have like a message that will pop up and tell them something like, oh sorry, you don't have enough credit in your card. So we'll put no. So if it's no, please take them back to request for credit card, which is okay. So now if the credit is good, yes, proceed to billing, and then from billing, maybe I should just add it here so we don't spread far. From billing, shipment. So let's say we've successfully built this guy. I think the next thing is shipment, ship the product. Sorry.
How about sorry to cut you short, but
Yeah,
how about you get information of where to ship the products to?
exactly,
Because you still don't have that information.
exactly. So proceed billing. Now if billing is successful, we can request for location, right? Right, Arinze? That's what you mean by
Yeah,
we request
yeah.
for
Mailing address.
yeah, exactly, mailing address. So from mailing address, now I can put this here. We can come to shipment. Right? And of course, when the user gets the product, that ends the transaction. So I'll put this here, end. So now which symbol should we use to represent this end now? Which symbol should we use to represent the end? Who can tell me? Or is the rectangle
The
okay?
oval.
Exactly, the oval.
No.
Because,
Over, yeah.
yeah. So I'll just change this to an oval. And ladies and gentlemen, we've successfully shown a simple flowchart showing how a user can successfully order a product on an e-commerce website. You understand? So this is just basically how flowchart works. So that is how we're going to be creating a flowchart for this product that we are working on. Do we understand? Do we understand, guys?
Yes. 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 Yes.
All right, so you guys still have access to this file because I've dropped the link on the WhatsApp group. So please, after today's class, you might just want to come back, study this our flowchart, and then you start thinking of the flowchart for this product that we are working on. Start thinking. Use this week now that we are entering. Think of the flowchart, how it's going to be like. Now, before our next class, I'm going to get every single thing ready. So I'll just be showing us through what I've worked on, before the next class, so we don't waste too much time, so we can actually enter into the designing part. There's still a lot of things that we have to do in the design, and we're already entering week 3. So remember, assignments: create your interview questions and formulate your empathy map and user persona. Now I'm adding this one: create a flowchart, or at least start creating your flowchart. we just it's just this is just how flowchart works, nothing else. Just know, okay, I'm going to share this document on the WhatsApp group, like document on flowchart, so we can just use it to memorize the shapes very very well. So just know those shapes and know that okay, that's what they represent. For then freestyle with it and then start using it to create any kind of flowchart. So simple thing is the simple way to know this flowchart well is anything that happens, has a process. So any single thing you see, break it down to simple processes and say, okay, this thing moves from this to this, from this to this. So you can actually understand processes, because of course when developing a product you must understand the processes. The mobile app you are using, there is a process it's following, and it was people that designed it. So that is just basically just this flowchart they use in designing those processes. And after determining those processes, they now came and started designing for each process. So for instance, based on this flowchart that we have now, I already know that I'm going to design like a page that will have a search icon. I already know that I'm going to design a purchase page. I already know I'm going to design a add to cart page. I already know I'm going to design a request. Okay, I didn't spell this request well. I already know that I'm going to design a page that will request for credit card, where I'll put probably a MasterCard, Visa card, PayPal, all those things. Now I already know that okay, there's going to be a loading that will go on here to check if this credit card is good. I already know that I'm going to design a page, that will show that okay, that will request that probably that will show what did I write here? I think somebody will know. Request mailing address or something. Yeah, I think mailing address. Yeah. So I already know that I'm going to have a page that will request the location of this user, to know where I'm mailing this thing to. Then I already know that probably I'm going to have like a success page that will tell them, okay, your shipment is on the way, or you expect your shipment in so day, so day. So this flowchart has already told me the number of screens I'm going to be designing by just having this thing. You understand? So while creating my wireframe, it's now very simple to now come and say, okay, my search button will look something like this. This, this, this.
Excuse me, please.
Yeah, I'm listening.
All right. Sorry to take you aback, but when you look at just after confirming the credit card, and then you proceed to bill the person, and then get their mailing address. What prompt to contact the seller of the merchandise to at least let them know that they have something to ship to these people, because I wouldn't want to think that you're the seller and then you're also the person doing everything, just like you have on Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't have any product. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very good question. So it means that you understood this flowchart thing, and I think you understand process as well. So it simply means that like now, it depends actually. Now in some cases where you want to make your flowchart like very very elaborate and detailed, like there are designers that do that, like they make it so detailed, like down to the simplest person. So maybe from this mailing address now, this is mailing address now would go from mailing address or moving to shipment to end. Then from here now we're now going to now come and consider the background this thing. So probably we'll now have something like this, something that will say once, no, it's not from here, proceed billing, mailing address, no, so proceed billing, sorry, request for, no, okay, now if you want to put that thing, now let's say add to cart, when the user adds to cart, we are now going to have like another operation here from here now that will now have something like probably confirm that product is available with the vendor. Do you understand? So we will now have an action here that will have something like confirm product is available with the vendor, confirm product, because that's what the user have added to cart. So if yes, right, yep, so sorry, So if yes, request. No. Sorry. Um, Wait, hold on. Purchase add to cart. This is a background process. All right. So if yes, request for credit card. So we have something like this. If yes, request for credit card. Yep. Now, if it's a no, right? If it's a no, take them back to the search page. Actually, if it's a no, bring them back to the search page, just like that. So we are confirming that this product is actually in stock. You understand? Now, if the product is in stock, we can proceed to payment. Now, when we've gotten to this place, probably we want to now come and start being more elaborate. We'll now say, okay, from mailing address, um, confirm mailing address is valid. If it's valid, reach out to a customer, assign this particular customer to assign this particular user to a customer care agent who we call, and to confirm. And if the call is a success, come bring it back to shipment. Do you understand? So you can personally decide to make it more elaborate, but I think this is like the basic framework of how it's going to work. Are you with me?
Uh,
Yeah. So this is just like the basic framework. Now, this little process you
but
can.
then but
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. But then giving out your customers' information to your vendor, I mean, wouldn't that take your business away from you? Next time the customer can
No, no,
decide
no,
to
no.
just contact the
No, no,
vendor
no, no.
directly.
No, now that's not how it works. Okay, no, it's not like you're giving out your customer. It's not the customer that is calling the user. It is us. Like for instance, now Amazon. Now, let's use Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon does not own a product, right? You understand? But they know
Mm-hmm.
vendors. So a vendor now comes to our platform, our website, and publish that they sell this. You understand? And now we have a user on our platform who has decided to come and check, or who wants to buy this product. Now it is we that is working, that it is us now, that is Amazon, that will reach out to this vendor and say, okay, bring so product to our warehouse. Do you understand? Now if the vendor brings it to our warehouse, it is us, Amazon, that will label this product to the user. So the user does not even know the vendor, it is us that he knows. So it is us now that will like confirm with the vendor that this product is available. So probably we have like our own warehouse, so we are just confirming if this product is still in our warehouse actually. You understand? And if it's in our warehouse, we can decide to personally reach on phone call, the customer care um you know thing you do for people to just have good experience with your product. So it is us that will just call to say, okay, you made a booking with this thing with ID. We want to confirm and tell you that, okay, this product will come to you on day. It's not like it's the vendor that is doing it. It's us, because we are like the intermediary between the vendors and the customers. Do you understand?
All right.
So yeah, so I think basically, there is a lot of process, you understand, but we didn't want to actually do all those, because most times, personally, for me personally, I don't usually go like very very deep. I just focus on the basic things that I need to do to get this job done. You understand? And probably when I get the job done, during the testing, we can now know, okay, which other one should we use based on what we've seen so far. You understand? Because in trying to develop processes, a lot of things can come into place. You know. So I equally do my own job and then allow the programmers to still do their own job, because the programmers are still going to develop their own process, like to make the basic design you've done function. And that's where they will now start thinking about, okay, who should we reach out to? Who is going to call this API to work? And they're just things, there are a lot of things actually, but just get the basic framework, you understand? And then from there you can go ahead to develop your own and do your own as much as you want. So having done this, we can now start developing our wireframe. So usually you can decide to create your wireframes Fig Jam. I was trying to do that, but most times because we only have access to using pencil to draw, it's not always that easy though. You know, it's easier to do it inside Figma. So from our next class, we are going to be creating our wireframes and we're going to start designing, and that's how we start working on this our product. So any other questions? Our time is totally up. Please, we need to end now. Any other questions?
Please, Mansas, when are you
Yes.
dropping the videos of the classes we've
Please,
had already? When are you
uh,
dropping the videos?
please, I'll do that. I'll do that tomorrow, maximum. By tomorrow, it will be there. Sorry.
Please don't forget. I mean, I've been saying that you posted, but you have not posted.
I usually forget. Well, I'll do that. I'll do that on filming by tomorrow.
Yeah, please. I really need it so I will understand with what you have done.
All right. All right. No, it's not an issue. I'll do that. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, in absence of no other question, I would like to call it a day. Thank you for making our time to be in today's class, and we are going to see in the next class. So, please, I'll make a proper documentation on the assignments we need to carry out. And then, one more thing, the quiz is still open. So, if you've not taken week one quiz, please try and take week one quiz. Week two quiz will be open by Tuesday. You understand? So, before Tuesday, take your week one quiz so you can be able to take week two quiz. Now please, the assignments you have from now till Friday maximum 12 by 12 noon, to submit the assignment. The reason for that is so I'll be able to go through everybody's work, and on Friday's class we can review and use the informations we've gotten from our interviews to build our products. You understand? So aside from that, do have a wonderful day, please.
Please just send the link. Oh, thank you.
All right, yes, I'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Do have a wonderful day, guys.
You too.